What's up, guys? Stephen Bogrand here, Pro Physique, and today what I wanted to talk to you about is, are you getting enough protein? Alright guys, so I just wanted to do a video on protein because of the fact that I have a couple friends who are not in the industry lately, and I know if you watch this video you're going to think it's only about you, but trust me, there are multiple people out there who have had very low protein intakes as of late. And so there's a couple reasons that this is important, but I want to highlight a couple in particular that I believe to be probably the most important. So let's sort of talk about what protein is and what it does, right? So protein is a macronutrient, right? It yields energy. So now your body can have a very difficult time using protein as energy because it takes a lot more work to break down the actual protein molecule and then send it through the system to get converted into glucose to be used as energy. So it doesn't like to use it as energy, which is why more often than not we see high protein diets. So there's a couple reasons why we see high protein diets as such a big thing. And some of the main reasons are that, it keeps you fuller longer, and it's harder to store body fat from protein than it is from, say, fats or carbs. So there's a couple reasons right there. So proteins are essentially groups or makeups of these things called amino acids that are going to make up a complete protein. Now, based on the amino acids, that is going to tell you whether it's an incomplete protein or a complete protein. And then we have non-essential protein or amino acids, which your body can synthesize, conditionally essential, and essential, which your body cannot synthesize. And then obviously conditionally, sometimes it can. So why is protein so damn important for our daily lives, right? There's a couple reasons. So we'll talk about the person who doesn't do weights or exercise, right? So first and foremost, protein is important for you because all of the enzymes in your bodies are made out of proteins, right? So when it comes to things like staying healthy, not getting sick, repairing collagen and damage and stuff like that, proteins are going to be necessary for that. So we want to make sure that even just for general health, we have enough protein so that on those days where we are a little bit more active, our body's able to heal up and our body's functioning properly because it has all of the enzymes that it needs for that. Now, say maybe you're not a resistance trainer and you're not an athlete, but you're active. At this point, now we know that protein can also reduce muscle soreness after longer, activity sessions. So it also is obviously going to help rebuild muscle. So there's a couple reasons right there why even just Joe Schmo, my grandma, your grandpa, everybody should be aware of their protein intake. Now I have a couple friends, and I'm not going to name names, but one of them called me last night and said, Stephen, I've had 24 grams of protein today. And I looked at her and I said, wait, what? Why have you only had 24 grams of protein? Well, I had some oatmeal, right? So I had half a cup of oatmeal. That's 5 grams right there. So wheat, incomplete protein. And then I had some other stuff like yogurt and whatnot. I said, look, buddy, you need to be eating more protein. For your body weight, the minimum for somebody who's sedentary, who's not active, is going to be 0.8 grams per kilogram of body weight. So we're going to say, we'll take that down to a little bit less than half a gram or so per pound of body weight for us here in the States. Everyone else on the metric system, you know exactly what's going on. And that's sort of the bottom end. Like, we want to be healthy, we're not active, we don't need extra protein because we're not doing anything extra. That's our bottom end. And so we want to make sure that we're certainly hitting that bottom end, even if we're sedentary. But if we are active, and this friend in particular just started going to the gym again and started working out again, we need more. So I have seen recommendations from reputable organizations they go as high as 1.5 to 2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. Again, for those of us in the States, that's going to be right around the 1 gram per pound of body weight area. Well, we are talking about maximizing performance for athletes, and we are talking about maximizing recovery and performance enhancement, okay? So we've seen studies done, and we've seen studies done with very small amounts of protein in like people in boot camp in the Army and in the military, right? And they would give some of them a non-protein drink and some of them a protein drink. And this had a very small amount, like I think it was like 15 grams of protein in it, right? So a really minuscule amount. And that would be after they went on a long run or they did some PT or intense training. Well, the group that got protein reported significantly less muscle soreness. They also had less injuries, which, you know, correlation is not causation, but if you're recovering better and your body is stronger, that could be a reason why we see that. And they got sick less, oddly enough. So we can see vast improvements when it comes to protein in our diet. Now, so we've talked about that a little bit. What kind of protein do we need? Now, we want to have complete proteins. Essentially what this means, like eggs, milk, and animal proteins. Okay, so those are all going to be complete proteins. They're going to have all of the essential amino acids that you need for daily life. But what if I'm a vegetarian? What if I'm a vegan, right? Well, vegetarians, you still have milk products, okay? So you can do a whey protein or even like a pea protein, right? So we can still do other protein sources that are going to be viable to help us get that protein in. And it is a little bit more difficult, but it is still possible. For vegans, it's going to be much more difficult. You're going to almost guaranteed have to supplement if you want to be at a high athletic level, and you're going to have to pay a lot of attention to your protein pairing with your vegetables. So a lot of vegetables, beans, wheats, legumes, they are what we call incomplete proteins. They do not have all of the essential amino acids that you need. So what we need to do is pair things together, like say whole wheat and peanut butter, rice and beans, right? So that way we are still getting complete proteins in our diet, and we're still able to rest, recover, and have the proper nutrition to continue getting better as an athlete, right? I think one of the big things that I hear from a lot of people is that it is difficult to get that much protein in, and that is a very valid point, because I sometimes have that same issue, and I've been doing this for a very long time. So I think that first and foremost, having lean protein sources that you enjoy, right? That's a big point right there. It's easy to be carb heavy and fat heavy. When we allow protein to take over a little bit more of our plate, it can be more filling. It's heavier, it's denser, so it can be hard to get those proteins in. But if we enjoy how we prepare them, whatever spices, marinades, whatever it might be, as long as they fit into our total calorie goals, it makes it a little bit easier to stomach the heavier portions, right? And I think this is the one that, like, this one I don't get from a lot of people, but like I don't understand it, but I hear it quite often, is that you shouldn't be supplementing with your protein, right? Like, you shouldn't have to supplement your protein, you should be able to eat it. Well, I can tell you right now, when I have to have 220 grams of protein a day, and that's my goal on my diet for a competition prep, that's difficult, especially if everything else needs to stay low. So supplementing with my protein for like a whey protein source, they make, I think Carnivore makes beef protein, which I'm actually a fan of that as well, or a different type of protein source can help you to hit that goal. So I think the question that we have to ask ourselves at that point is, do we want to be protein deficient or have issues with getting our protein intake in, or do we want to maybe have to supplement a post-workout meal with a shake instead of more chicken or turkey or beef, whatever it might be, right? Or brown rice and black beans, depending on what your specific dietary needs are or dietary preferences are. So that's this huge thing, and I know it's a big benefit, and so nobody can tell you whether or not you should eat animal protein or not. That's not a decision for us to make. That's something you have to decide for yourself and weigh out for yourself. But if that is something you're going to do, make sure that you are supplementing and taking care of yourself so that all of your nutritional needs are met. But that's going to be it, guys. I'm going to end it right there. We'll make protein nice and easy. Remember, 4 calories a gram. If you're sedentary, 0.8 grams per kilogram of body weight. If you're active, 1.5 to 2 grams per kilogram of body weight. And you'll start feeling better. You're going to recover better. You're going to stay healthier longer. And it's just going to help you overall in the long run. So anyways, guys, this is Stephen Bogran for Pro Physique. I'll talk to you soon.